all the minds, and then we'd have life in that universe.
Do you
but it
take it
depends
that
what
the
you mean when you say
cardinality of
finely tuned.
infinity changes?
I'm so
Wait,
sorry.
respond to me instead.
By cardinality, do you just mean like the amount? Like there's like different
Yeah,
sizes of infinity. Yeah, that's true, right? Like you could have like all the
sure.
numbers are infinite, and then like the even numbers are half of that, but they're also infinite.
Yeah, look.
Okay, great. So
So,
in a different universe, would the cardinality of life be different?
yo, agent's chaosing me. What the
What
fuck?
do you mean by the cardinality of life? Are you just talking about like the amount of life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
It
members in
could
the
be, but
set.
it isn't necessarily.
You take it that it could be different if both worlds contain infinite life.
Yeah. Oh wait, are you saying that
All
there's
right, nice
infinite
one.
life here?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna need some sort of argument for that. I don't grant that there's infinite life here.
Do you know what the self-indication assumption is?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it basically just says that you should think that there's infinite people given that you exist. So the basic idea is like, say you wake up in a white room. Stop. Say you wake up in a white room, right? And it says on the wall, "Hi, I'm God. I flipped a coin. If it landed on tails, I'd make one person. If it landed on heads, then I'd make 10 people." Um, the self-indication assumption just says that given you exist, that's your evidence, you should think that the hypothesis that predicts more people is true.
So I guess I think that I take like a Morian shift to this. Like any argument where the conclusion is there's infinite people is just false. Like my credence that there's not infinite people is just gonna be like way higher than like any precondition.
Right. You said it's a Morian shift here?
Yeah, if the conclusion is therefore, there are infinite people that exist, I mean, I'm not gonna believe that. If you're talking about this, like this universe in specific, I'm inclined to believe that there's finite people given our evolutionary history.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so our evolutionary history is confined to Earth, right? Nobody's
Mhm,
saying that there's infinite people on Earth or in our ancestral chain. The claim is that there's infinite life.
mhm.
Also, so
But
okay, so the
like, what's
Morian
the
shift
evidence
is
for
saying
that?
that's just a self-indication. Okay, so the idea
So,
is if so if your life is evidence for a hypothesis that predicts more people, then you should think that there's infinite people. So just replace 10 people with it landing on tails with infinite people. Your credence in the theory that it would land on tails should be infinitely higher than that it would land on heads.
wait, you would agree that the Big Bang
Gotcha.
happened like 13.8 billion years ago, right?
Yeah.
Sure. So, at the time of the Big Bang, were there infinite people or finite people?
People?
Yeah, like the word that you've been using this entire time, were there infinite people or finite people at the time of the Big Bang?
There was no people at the time of the
Yeah,
Big Bang
exactly, right. So how did we get from 0 to infinity?
because God created them.
Oh, sure. And what's gonna be the evidence for that?
Well, what that just predicted on our fine tuning. That's just what the fine tuning argument concludes with is that God is more likely and that he would want to create life.
Okay, but couldn't you have created life in any universe?
Yo, we
You
just
said
went
in
full
any universe?
circle.
Yeah. Couldn't you have just made life anywhere?
Um, no. I mean, maybe. I don't really understand the question. Like, if life
Yeah,
is
wait, so like
understood as a
let's
composite
say that
entity,
there's
then
like
no.
infinite electrons in an array. There's like an infinite
Okay.
number of electrons with the exact same cardinality as life in this universe. And he just like gives all of them minds, and they're like little like electron interactions. They just like fall in love with each other or whatever, and then they like come to know, love, and worship God or whatever the fuck he
Uh,
wants them for. Couldn't he have just done that?
yeah.
Yeah, why wouldn't he?
Um, that's more of like a psychological question about God. I'm not sure that that
To be clear,
discounts
the
the
fact
evidence,
that
right?
this universe as opposed to that universe exists is so radically unexplained on your view that you can't even fathom an
Wait,
explanation.
wait,
So that, well, this
hold
just
on,
sounds
wait.
like really good evidence against your view then if you can't even explain it.
This isn't a fact that I'm attempting to explain with the argument, right? I mean, like, okay, so let's just say, like, take this hypothetical where scientists discover that written on every single atom was made by God with love, right? Every single person ever would say that that's good evidence that God exists,
Oh
right?
no, he thinks I'm
What
running
you're saying,
probability space. I'm running
w-
electrons and love. I'm sorry, this is the wrong response. Like
w-
this response is
wait,
just
hold on.
non-responsive to
I
the
understand that
argument.
this is electrons and love. Just one second, okay? So
Okay.
you're just saying that there's this alternative that God could have actualized that had more life in it, right? That's just to
Hmm.
say that there's some other way that God could have made his presence known. So just take it that
Hmm.
instead
Well,
of
no, that's
God
not what
doing
it's
that,
saying.
he just made it flat. Wait, what? You don't take Okay,
Yeah, so
what do you think
okay, so the
electrons and love are
problem
trying to say?
with your like approach to fine tuning is that there's still something that's radically unexplained. Because you're saying like on my view, it's unexplained why there's life, that it's like unexpected under the naturalist hypothesis that there would be life, and that's contestable, but well, we can get to that in a second. So yeah, let's say that it is the case, and just like evaluate what you're saying that it's more expected under theism. But it's unexpected. It's equally unexpected. Even if life is unexpected in this universe, it's equally unexpected that God would create this universe as opposed to any of the other ones. In the same way that you would say that it's unexpected that we live in this like this specific life-bearing universe as opposed to any of the other ones.
Well, wait, hold on. Why is it so, okay, sorry. So you're saying that it's unexpected under my view that God would have actualized this world as opposed to any other ones, right?
Yeah, just that there's no reason that you literally cannot come up with an explanation for why God preferred this universe to the one where we're just like electrons in love.
But that's just not something that I'm trying to predict. I'm not trying to
Oh, sure. So
predict
then it's
why
just like
God
good
created this
evidence against
universe
your
as opposed
view.
to any of the other. What? Why?
Then it's
Wait,
just like good evidence against your view
how?
because it's radically unexpected that God would create this specific universe.
Wait, hold on. It's not. I'm not trying to. My theory is not predicting God's psychology at all. It's just predicting that the universe is finely tuned.
Well, yeah, you're saying that this specific universe with these specific constants exist, but the problem is God could have achieved the exact same thing in any universe. So the fact that God picked these constants is unexplained on your view.
Wait, but he would have picked. Hold on. So I'm just gonna go back to my counterexample. Then it's just saying like, oh, God wrote on every single atom that he made it
It's
with
back to
love, but he
misunderstanding the
could have
argument.
just. Well, hold on. But he could have just flashed in our conscious experience every 10 seconds. Hi, I'm God. I made you. By the way, right? You're just saying that there's an alternative that he could have done. I mean, that's not discounting the prediction that theism is making.
So the problem is that this prediction equally predicts every single universe with every single set of constants, which means that the constants themselves are zero evidence for God's existence because God's existence would predict any set of constants. If God wants life, he could do that with any set of constants, which means that the specific constants of the universe are zero evidence for theism insofar as they could be anything and God could just give a bunch of electrons like minds or whatever and he could make them have the moral properties that he wants them to have. So that just means that these constants are zero evidence for your view because your view doesn't make any prediction about what we would expect the constants to look like.
Well, wait, it would predict that the constants would be such that life would arise.
That
It's still
arises in
making that
every
prediction. This
single.
possibility doesn't discount it,
Can
right?
you name like a configuration where God exists and life wouldn't arise?
Um, what God just chooses not to create.
Oh, sure.
I don't really
Well,
understand the
wait,
question.
do you think that God was always creating? Or do you think that he was not always creating?
Um, yeah, I don't really know.
Oh, sure. Well, either it's one or the other. So if God was always creating, then the universe would have always existed, so he never created it. The alternative is that he wasn't always creating, which means that he would have gone from not creating to creating, which
Wait, but
means that he would have
this is just like
changed.
a
So he can't
separate
be outside of
argument.
time. It's not.
Like there's no premise here that
You're
you
saying that
disagree.
God could have not created. I'm telling you that that can't be.
Well, okay.
I'm sorry that you like tripped into the entailment, but unfortunately, you do need to answer it.
Wait, but which premise of the fine-tuning argument are you disagreeing with?
Well, first of all, you haven't laid out any premises, but second of all, you said that God could have just not created, and I'm telling you that that's not true.
Okay.
So then we agree
Wait,
that
hold on.
your like objection falls apart, or
What objection? The Wait, the
You're
objection
so
that
confused. You
saying
got
that it could
slammed
have.
so hard you're concussed.
Wait,
You don't even
wait,
know where you are
hold
right
on.
now.
I don't understand. Okay, I don't
I
understand
grant
the
that you don't
relation that this
understand, right?
has
You're like
to.
tripping over yourself. You have no idea.
You know, nice one. You're really convincing. Yeah, wait,
Yeah.
my opponent doesn't understand what I'm saying. That's because I'm so good. I'm so IQ. Nice.
Oh, calm
Look,
down.
so okay, so I figured that you would have already known the basic premises of the fine-tuning argument. It's just theism better predicts fine-tuning, and fine-tuning is true, right? And it better predicts it than atheism, obviously,
Wait, why would theism better predict it?
because God would want to create life, and fine-tuning allows for life. And that's the basic
Yeah,
reasoning
wait,
there.
but fine-tuning doesn't allow for life because God could create any universe and there would be life.
Wait, fine-tuning doesn't allow for life because there's a possibility where life could have arisen in different constants?
If you
Obviously, that
think
just
that
doesn't
God
follow.
exists, then yes, like the constants are zero evidence for God. If you think God could have created under any conditions with any constants, yeah, it's
Wait,
like
but
pretty
this just
basic,
falls into the
right?
same
Like
reductio I gave
if God
before.
could have created with constants being literally anything, and then he could have made life by giving electrons minds or whatever, he could have configured some sort of life in every single possible universe, which means that there's literally no reason why we would expect this universe as opposed to any of the other ones. Like the fine tuning of the universe simply isn't evidence at that point.
Wait, hold on. So, yeah, I mean, this sounds like this is just the exact same objection again. So I don't understand how it doesn't fall into the reductio I gave before. And then I
Wait,
can
which
repeat the
one? The one
reductio if you
about
forgot it.
the one where you like think that I'm running like probability space?
What
Yeah,
do you mean by
it
that?
doesn't fall into the reductio because I'm not running probability space. Hope that helps.
Okay, well, maybe you can elaborate a little bit more, and then I
Sure.
can repeat it if you want me to.
Sure. So you're saying that these specific constants are expected under theism, and I'm telling you that that's not true. Theism makes zero predictions about which constants we would get, insofar as God would be able to achieve the exact same outcome that he wants in literally any configuration of constants. He can give minds that are morally relevant in any configuration of constants, which just means that the fact that they're these constants as opposed to like some other ones simply is an evidence for God's
Well,
existence.
look, I understand what you're saying. I'm asking how this avoids the reductio I gave before.
What even is that? Wait, so the reductio about like made by God
Yeah,
or like God loves you? It's just
yeah.
not relevant. Like it literally doesn't interact with the argument at all.
What? No, you're just saying that it's
Wait, so
possible that God
yeah,
could
go
have
ahead and
made life in a
explain.
different way. Yeah. God could have given us evidence of himself in a different way. That is just,
Wait,
that's the
I'm not
reductio.
saying he could have given us evidence for himself in a different way. I'm saying that he could have made life anywhere. He could have made life with any constants, which means that these
Yeah, but
constants are not evidence. It's like a really simple objection.
yeah,
So
but
do you
so
understand
okay,
that
so
in order
look,
for
I just
evidence
don't
to be
understand how it
evidence,
follows
your
from yeah.
hypothesis needs to make
Okay, wait.
specific predictions about what we would expect under it. If we would expect any configuration of finely tuned constants, or I mean not finely tuned constants, literally any configuration of constants could have resulted in the exact thing that God wanted. It makes the fact that it's these constants rather than some other constants radically unexpected under your view.
Okay, so I don't really understand the inference there. So okay, so theism better predicts that there's life, and
I don't
life can
grant that.
arise under finely tuned. Okay, well, I mean the idea there is just that God has the power to create life. God is motivated by goodness, and life is good.
Yeah, but
So
he
yeah,
could have made life in any universe. Do you not understand this?
well,
Like, how
okay.
many times do I need to say the exact
But
same thing for
that's
you
not
to
even talking about
finally
fine-tuning
understand it?
anymore. Like, you're just saying that God could
It
have made life in a
is.
different way. I like that.
Because you're saying, so the fine
No,
tuning
no, because
argument
surely what you're
functions by
saying is
saying
like,
that
yeah,
you
life is
need these
good and
finely tuned constants or else it wouldn't work out. And I'm telling you that that's just not true.
okay, so just tell me if my understanding of the objection is wrong here. So, um, God could have made it such that there is no fine-tuning and life still comes about, right?
That there is
So
no fine tuning under your view because life could have been brought about in any configuration of constants. Your view doesn't make any specific prediction about what we would expect the constants to be because God could have achieved his goal with any configuration of constants. In order
right,
for
and I
for
mean that's
something to be
concerning the
evidence for
constants,
your
not
view
whether or
needs to
not life
predict
is
it, but your
predicted,
view
right?
doesn't uniquely predict this. Your view doesn't make a prediction on what the constants would be.
Well, right. It doesn't make a prediction directly about what the constants would be. It just predicts that there is life. and
Yeah,
then
so
life
that
can
would
just
just be
arise
that would
under
require
fine
literally
tuning.
anything. That would require, like, literally just,
Sure.
like, a universe.
Okay.
So then your evidence for God's existence isn't fine-tuning, it's just that there's a universe. But I don't think God
What?
could
No.
make a universe, which means that I don't think that this is going to be evidence for it. In fact, I think the existence of a universe is actually a defeater to God.
What?
Yeah, I tried to
Okay.
explain this,
So,
but then you didn't wanna get, like, slammed on it, so then you tried to,
well,
like, give it away.
because
You
I
want
was
wait,
I
I
don't
can
I
just
don't
develop
think
the
that it
argument if
had
you're
any relevance to
interested.
the fine tuning argument, but I'm still trying to I'm failing to understand the objection. Okay, so um, you gave the electrons in love objection, which basically shows that um, God could have made life in a different way, so maybe the
Wait, I'm so
constant
sorry, give
somehow
me just a
predicted
second.
anything about it. Right.
Oop, wait, let me make sure my mic is, like, situated. Oh. Okay, wait. Wait. Oop, how does my mic sound? Am I good?
Yeah, all clear.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, the objection's pretty
Okay.
simple. Like, maybe let me know where I'm, like, losing you. So,
So, um,
you you need to make
uh,
specific predictions about the constants, about what we would expect from the constants in order for them to be evidence. If your view doesn't make a specific prediction about what the constants should be or shouldn't be or wouldn't be, then they're not evidence. And your view doesn't do that because God would get exactly what he wanted no matter what the constants are.
wait, okay, so I agree that it's possible that God could have made life under different constants or, like electrons in love or something. But
Are there
the
any
reason
set
that
of
I'm
constants
discounting
that
this is
God
because it
couldn't have
sounds
made
like,
life?
you could say the same thing in principle about God writing on every single atom made it, or he made us with love or something. Um, or, he could have done it in this other way. Okay, so he could have done it in this other way, but I'm not sure how that has any relevance on whether or not he actually did do it. Okay, so maybe you're not
Are
saying that
there
right.
any
Maybe you're
set
saying
of
like
are there any set of
the
constants where God couldn't have made life from?
um, presumably one where there's nothing, right?
Yeah, so
Um,
then you're saying that the evidence is not like these specific constants. Your evidence is instead that the universe exists in and of itself, that it exists at all is the evidence.
yeah, I'm not sure that's right.
Because you're saying that
Well,
it's like the only universe you couldn't have made life in is one where there's nothing, where like one where there isn't a universe, or you know. And by the way, if you have space-time, then you're going to have things like matter. You only have space. Space literally expands on the basis of like the energy that is in empty space. So you just like straight up wouldn't have space. Like you wouldn't have a universe if there was no energy, no life, or no, not no life, but no matter. Then there would just not be a universe. So
uh, well, I do think it's possible for there to only be space or only be space or time, but maybe you're using space in a different way that I don't know.
even
Anyways,
in these
so
situations, God could just make like more gods.
right. Um,
So is there
well,
any situation where God couldn't make
I'm not sure
life?
that other gods would be life. Um,
Is what? Okay. Well, I'm yeah, sure, maybe. Okay. But I mean, what does God want out of life? I'm certainly like another God would have that property.
um, yeah, I mean, I guess the basic idea that why life is good, experiencing, experiencing certain sorts of relationships, experiencing love, um, experiencing happiness or something.
Yeah, so couldn't God just do all that stuff with like another God?
Um, yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah. Uh,
So then there's no configuration of reality,
well,
I
okay,
guess at
yeah.
least with respect to the things that you're saying. Like we wouldn't expect like any type of like universe or whatnot.
So I'm not sure that that's true either. I think that under atheism, it's still highly unexpected that we would have life at all, if those are the parameters. And then given theism, okay, so life is predicted. Okay, maybe God could have made other gods, or maybe God could have made electrons that experience the goodness or something, right? But if it's like if it's vastly unexpected under atheism that the constants would be such that life would arise, and life does arise in a specific way, I don't think it being possible that God could have done it different discounts the evidence that he did, right? And then it is unlikely that fine tuning would have obtained.
Oh, well, I
And
mean, this is
that's
just
just
like
the
utterly
basic idea.
non-responsive. Like, I understand that that's your conclusion. I understand that that's the central argument. Unfortunately, this is just like utterly non-responsive to the objection. So I don't know. I guess I'll move on to the argument that I was trying to make earlier, which is that if the universe exists, then God doesn't exist. So if God is the creator of the universe, then either he would have always created it or he would have not always created it. Do you agree with that?
Um, so, well, I would rather stay on the fine tuning
Dodge
argument,
one.
right?
Just answer the question. Come on.
Well, I mean, so I'd rather defend the fine tuning
Dodge
argument.
two.
Like, okay, so right. Well,
Why would
okay, yeah. I
God
mean,
make such
I'm fine
cowardly
with engaging on this
beings?
point, but I just want to make it clear. Is there something wrong with the objection that I gave before to your response?
The one about made by God? It's just
Yeah.
non-responsive to the argument. So the way we go about
Well,
reasoning is if so something is only evidence for your view, it's if it's expected. But your view needs to
right.
make predictions about reality in order to garner any evidence at all. Insofar as the universe could look like anything, and God would still get the thing that he wants, that means that there's literally no reason at all whatsoever why it's this way as opposed to another way. Like, your view predicts life in general, but that doesn't have any bearing on like the constants themselves, like the quote finely tuned unquote constants, insofar as they could have been genuinely, literally anything. And God still would have gotten what he wants. So your view makes zero predictions as to what we would expect, which means that the way things are just isn't evidence.
Yeah, I still don't. Okay, so God does. So theism would predict that life exists. It doesn't sound like you disagree with that point anymore. Okay, and fine tuning, um, also would predict life if fine tuning is just a way of saying that the physical constants are arranged such that life would arise. Okay, so it seems that theism would predict life, fine tuning would predict life. So theism would predict fine tuning to a pretty good degree, right? And I don't think that the possibility space would have any like significant bearing. But we can talk about the made by God thing if you still disagree with that. Okay, so then does atheism predict fine tuning? Um, yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like atheism would have any inherent
Yeah.
or baked in hypothesis that would say, yeah, the constants would be arranged such that it's life friendly or something.
Oh, well, I mean, that's just going to follow from the wave function itself, which I'm inclined to think is necessary.
The
Unless
lot,
you think
okay,
like
what?
mathematical
So
objects can be created, like the universe is just identical to the wave function itself. The laws of physics fall out of the Schrodinger's equation. Thus, these constants are just going to be necessary, which is why, so we've established that there's no reason why we would expect these constants on your view, but now this argument establishes that we would expect these constants on my view. So that means that the evidence of fine tuning is actually evidence in favor of atheism against theism.
okay, so atheism does not predict, or atheism does predict fine tuning because there's some counter hypothesis to theism where the wave function exists and it's necessary, and then the wave function explains all fine tuning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just take it that this is kicking the can down the road, right? So, like, say, they're like somebody's looking at all these really nice, extraordinary paintings sort of floating around in space, right? Really aesthetically pleasing. Everybody go vote Ian on that poll. We're all cracking Ian. Stop voting for me, please. Um, anyways, and then somebody's like, well, there must be like some special painting machine somewhere floating around in space that's developing really nice paintings. I mean, it just sounds to me like, yeah, okay. Who designed, like, it seems more probable that God would have designed the wave function, or like some person that wanted
Do
to
you
create a
think
bunch of
God
nice
can
paintings
create
would have created a
abstract
paint machine.
objects? You think, wait, I
Well,
just
that
need to hear
depends
you
on what
say
you mean
that,
by
that you think
abstract
God
objects.
can create abstract objects?
Do you take it that the wave function is an abstract object?
Yes, like, yeah, obviously. What the fuck? Yeah, of course.
Um,
What
well,
else? What
okay,
else
so
would it
I thought the
be,
wave
right?
function was
Do you
just
think? Wait,
another
sorry. Do
principle.
you think that like a mathematical object, like a vector, is a mathematical object, right? You understand that like a wave function is just going to be a vector in Hilbert space, both of which are mathematical objects. Do you understand that?
Well, okay, so
Or did you
um,
have no idea what the wave function even was?
so I thought the wave function was just a simple mathematical equation that sort of explains something in quantum mechanics. And if
Yeah,
that's the case,
that
then why would you
probably
not?
is your understanding. No,
Okay,
the wave
so
function
what's the
describes
wave
the entire
function?
universe. It describes the superposition of the entire universe.
Okay, okay, so it describes the superposition of the entire universe, so it's a description.
No, it's going to be identical to the universe. There's no property that the universe has that the wave function doesn't.
Okay, the wave function describes the superposition of the universe, but it's not a description.
No, the wave function, the universe is identical to its wave function.
Okay, you think the universe is an abstract object?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, well, I don't I don't agree with that one.
Oh, do you have
Um,
like a more substantive argument, or do I need to like run the argument from entailment on you of entanglement?
sure.
Yeah, sure. Would you agree that when something interacts with a quantum system, that it becomes entangled with that?
Yeah, I
Yeah, would
believe
you
so.
agree that our measurement tools interact with quantum systems, thus becoming entangled with them?
Um, not exact. Okay, well, it depends on the measurement. Like,
Quantum
are you saying like
measurement
a ruler
tools
or like?
have zero interaction with quantum states.
Well,
Good
I don't.
one.
So it depends on what the measurement tool is. If it's just like a scientist sort of writing in his notepad, like his
No, it's
measurements or
like
something.
okay. So say for example, we shoot like a proton at like a partially silvered mirror. There's
Uh-huh.
going to be a 50% chance that it has an upspin, 50% chance that it is a downspin, depending
Hmm.
on the quantum superposition. So it's in superposition, and then upon interacting, it's going to split off. It's going to become entangled, and it's going to be picked up by one of two photon detectors that are going to tell you either it was spin up or it was spin down. So you would agree that these detectors become entangled, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So insofar as the detectors are entangled, well, these detectors interact like trillions of times a second with tons and tons of particles. So in a matter of milliseconds, the entire universe becomes entangled. So we now have
Okay.
two superpositions based on this like simple example, which means that the universe is now going to be identical to these two superpositions. Whatever it was before, it's now going to have split into these two superpositions, which means that the universe is just going to exist as the wave function. It's going to be our world is an orthogonal superposition within the wave function.
Right. Okay. And the wave function is the description of superposition, you said?
Yeah, in a sense, yeah, but it's like identical to the universe. It's gonna have
Okay.
in the same sense that like you're a description of you.
I'm a description of me. Um,
Yeah.
well, what does description mean if not just giving an account of in words?
I think that the wave function has an identity relation to the universe. So if you want to say that
Okay.
like an identity relation is descriptive, I might agree with you, but what I don't want you to think is that this is like a description in the way that like a map is like a description of some territory. It's not like that. The universe is identical to the wave function.
Okay. And this leads you to believe that the universe is abstract?
Yeah, because the wave function is a mathematical object. Yeah, of course.
Wait, but the wave function you said is just identical with the universe, so that's just repeating the
Yeah,
claim.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Wait,
we
so you
just
agree you're
walked
just
through
repeating the
the
same thing to me?
no, we just walked through the argument from entanglement. You agree that the universe is identical to the wave function, yes?
Um, well, okay, but that's if the wave
Oh,
function
wait,
just means the
that's the
universe, then
sound of you
yeah, that's just
choking on my
trivial.
rhetorical dick, by the way. Lock in.
Look, that's not choking on
Oh,
anything, bro. You're
rhetorical.
just saying like the most confused
Lock.
gibberish.
Wait, sorry, you didn't even know what the wave
The
function
wave
is.
function is identical, but you think the wave function just means the universe. You think those two are analytically
I'm
identical.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. The universe is the wave
Okay.
function. Yeah, the wave function that describes the universe is identical to the universe. Yeah. That's just like the quantum mechanics consensus. Sorry. And I gave you the argument from
Okay.
entanglement, right? We can
Well,
approach this
wait,
two
but
ways.
you're trying to say that the
We
universe
can
is
say that this is
abstract.
consensus. We can also just give the argument that we already gave that you conceded every single premise of.
But the conclusion there was not that the universe was abstract. The conclusion there was that the wave function is the universe.
Yeah, and the wave function is a vector in Hilbert space. A Hilbert space is a mathematical object. Vectors are mathematical objects. A vector in Hilbert space is a mathematical object. If the universe is identical to a vector in Hilbert space, then necessarily the universe is a mathematical object. Yeah.
It sounds like you're just equivocating. Here, look,
On what? Which
I
term is
don't
being
like to do this a
equivocated
lot, but
on?
here, how about we just like write out the formal argument, right? And we can get the individual premises.
Sure.
Okay, what's premise one?
Yeah. Premise one, the universe is identical to the wave function. Premise two, the wave function is an abstract object. Conclusion, the universe is an abstract object.
Okay, the universe is identical with the wave function. Sorry, what was premise two?
The wave function is an abstract object.
Okay, and then what's the conclusion?
Yeah, therefore the universe is an abstract object.
Okay, and then the defense of premise one is the superposition example.
What's the argument from entanglement?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I still think this is just going to quit because it sounds like you're saying, okay, the wave function is like the description of superposition or entanglement or something. And then entanglement includes like the whole universe. So the universe and the wave function are the same thing. But the only way that I could understand you saying that the wave function is an abstract object is if you sort of change the meaning of the wave function from it just being identical with superposition to it being a description, like a mathematical description of superposition.
Can you name me one property that the universe has that the wave function doesn't, or one property that the wave function has that the universe doesn't?
What? But that's just the thing. Like I'm agreeing with you. Okay, so the
If they
wave
share all their
function
properties,
is
then they're
understood.
identical.
Right. Okay. So I mean, yeah, I agree with that part. Here, maybe look. Just okay. So I'll show you the argument that I have in general chat. Right now, I mean, I still take it that this argument is going to be equivocating. Here, what's the rule of inference in this first argument here?
A is B, B is C, therefore A is C. Transitivity.
Okay, A is B, B is C. Okay, so it's transitivity. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, I mean, now this is gonna
Or I'm sorry,
be
no,
easy
it's
to
that wouldn't be it.
understand
It
this.
would be A is identical in all properties to B. B has property C, therefore A has property C. That would be it.
Okay. I think I still understand what you're trying to say. So.
Oh, okay.
Just write
But
this
it
down.
sounds like you just don't have an objection to the view, right? Like, it sounds like you're stumped because we just established that, in fact, fine-tuning is exactly what we would expect under atheism, especially like wave function monism, but it's radically unexpected on your view. So the evidence for fine-tuning is actually evidence against your view.
So, I think that if your reasoning goes through, if the universe is an abstract object, and I take it that the argument where the universe is an abstract object is the conclusion equivocates, yeah, I wouldn't agree with the view, right?
What's the equivocation?
Well, it sounds like okay. So the entanglement argument
So
is
I
like
take an equivocation to be like between like a word.
right
What am I equivocating on?
wave function.
You didn't even know what the wave function was. I can explain to you what the wave function is. The wave function is just a vector in Hilbert space. It's
wave.
literally equivalent to all the possible superpositions, all the possible collapses of the, or quote, collapses, unquote, of the wave function, all the ways that it could possibly be is what the wave function describes.
It's the way that all collapses could be. Okay. Wait, you want to say that the wave function is a vector in Hilbert space and it's the way that all collapses could be, or do you want to say that it
It's the same
describes the
thing.
way? Well, I don't take. What do you? No. I'm not saying that those are different. I'm saying that's in conjunct. Do you want to say that those two are identical, or do you want to say that the wave function is a mathematical description of those things?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Do you want to say that the wave function is a vector in Hilbert space and it's the way that all collapses could be, or do you want to say that the wave function is a mathematical description of the way that all collapses could be?
The wave function is identical to, well, okay, my view doesn't hold that collapses exist.
Okay.
My view holds that the wave function is just a description of all the possible orthogonal superpositions.
Okay, so the wave function is a description. It's. Do you want to say it's a mathematical description?
Okay, what do you mean by description? Because if description you mean something like the way like a map describes territory, then no, it's
No,
not. It's nothing like that. But
no, just a linguistic account of something, right? Like if I
no.
describe. Okay, well, what do you mean by description?
It's like, so the wave function is a mathematical object.
Okay, okay. The wave function is a
And I see like
mathematical
there's like
object.
4 people who voted in the polls. Like this guy's just like fucking blabbering. Like if one of you who thinks that this position is like, okay, we have Meaty, we have Goodness Qualia, we have Mercury, we have Gabe. If any of you 4 wants to jump on in and defend this guy's like dog
Oh
shit
man,
six, like you're more than welcome to. I'd love to talk
he's
to any and all of
gladiating.
you.
Where's the poll?
But oh
Well,
yeah, I
okay,
mean, I would
I
expect
want to
them
make
to stay
sure.
silent because none of
So,
them, like everyone wants to vote, but nobody's even listening, let alone capable of like stepping up to contend.
like it's okay. A wave function is a mathematical object. Okay. Well,
No, mute your mic.
surely if it's a math.
Always the poll.
Okay, so surely if it's a mathematical object, then you'd want to say that it has some sort of relation on the things that it's describing, right? Like if I say 1 is a mathematical object, it has a relation to 1 apple or something, right?
Oh no, I think like 1 + 1 is 2. I don't think that necessarily needs to be like instantiated in like certain objects.
Well, I don't think the relation has to be necessary. Like it doesn't have to be the case that the relation holds, but like if I have, so most of the time, at least the way that I understand it is like when people want to say that there's an abstract mathematical object like 1 or something, then it's sort of instantiated like when there's 1 apple. But that doesn't mean that there's always like 1 thing or something.
Oh, I mean, this view is like Platonic monism, so.
I do think that's what Platonists say as well. I could be wrong though. Well, what is the
No.
okay? So
Well,
if the
because
wave
Platonists
function is a
Platonists
mathematical,
presumably want to say that these facts exist, like the fact that like 1 + 1 = 2 exists in like some form, whether it be like structural or like some like literal relation or like something of that sort that has no real bearing on, I don't know, for example, like objects, like it would be true even in the absence of anything.
right? Wait, true? True that it
Or
exists?
like existent, I guess, you know, like the relation would be true.
The relation between
For
the
example,
thing
like
and
1
the
+ 1 is 2, that would be true, regardless of if there's like 1 of anything or like 2 of anything or.
oh, right. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, they do hold that, but like, sure, like whenever a mathematician or a physicist wants to use the wave function, like, they write it down and fill out the variables, right?
Not
To
quite. The
explain
wave.
something.
So to be clear, like the wave function is like a. So the Hilbert space, the current estimates of it are like 2 to the 10 to like the 124th dimensional. So it's not the type of thing that you could possibly write down.
Okay.
So there's like wave functions for like individual things, but because of like entanglement, right? So the measurement outcomes that you get, okay, so I guess like to cover some ground in quantum mechanics, things can have like an upspin or a downspin. There's like a 50-50 shot of an electron having an upspin or a downspin. But prior to measurement, prior to like it interacting with the environment, it's in a superposition of both of them. Now, if you have the electron interact with something else, then what's going to be the case is that the measurement outcomes are entangled. The measurement outcome of one affects the measurement outcome of the other. They're now inseparable. So their wave functions combine. They become, I don't know, like collapsed on top of each other. Collapse is a bad word. It's like misleading, but they become like superimposed on top of each other. You would take these like two-dimensional graphs and then you'd combine them to make like a three-dimensional graph in order to accurately
Right.
describe the system and the amplitudes involved.
Okay, so
The way that the wave function collapses, TLDR, the thing that the wave function, the superposition that something is in, depends on the superpositions that the things it's entangled are in.
okay. Well, okay, so the wave function is a mathematical object, and you can sort of use these very specific versions of it to describe very specific things. Is that right?
Well, the wave function just describes the entire universe.
Okay. Well, okay, so the wave function is a mathematical object that describes the entire universe. And then, sorry, what did you say you meant by description or describe or something?
I don't think I gave a definition of that. I just said it's like identical to the universe, that every property that the wave function has is also going to be a property that exists within the universe.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, so is the wave function, just tell me if I'm wrong. So the wave function is a mathematical object that describes the entire universe. Is that
Yeah.
right?
I
What does
guess you
describe
could think
mean?
about it like that, yeah. I think it's a relation of identity, but I don't think that's like necessarily mutually exclusive with saying that it's like a description, so yeah.
Okay, so describes just means that it's identical to the universe.
Mhm.
Okay. Wait, then. Okay, so the first premise of the argument was the universe is identical to the wave function. Okay, that's just analytically true. But then, okay, so if the universe is just analytically identical to a wave function, that just makes the universe a mathematical object.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it
so
sounds
you
like
agree with
premise
my
one is just
position. Thank
saying,
you. That's cool.
well, I agree with your position if I'm using your same terms, right? Because then that's just saying like the universe is identical to the universe.
I mean, not really, right? I'm just saying that the universe is an abstract object, that it has this property.
Okay, well, okay, so if that's not what you're doing, then so, well, okay, what's the argument for the first premise? And then the first premise was the universe is identical to the wave function.
Yeah, just the argument from entanglement that the entanglements that happen from every interaction are perfectly described by the wave function. That for every particle
Wait, but
that
describe just
exists in
means
three
identical, right?
dimensions. So with the way you'd go about finding the wave function is that you'd find the wave function for like each and every like three-dimensional particle, and then you would combine it into some like massive monstrosity of like a higher dimensional object, and
I'm sorry,
then
I'm kind of confused. So you'd find the wave function of every individual entity, but the wave function is a mathematical object that's identical to the entire universe. So you'd
so
find the entire
So
universe
what the wave
in every.
function means when we're talking about like an individual particle, what the wave function means is just like the combination of all of its possible superpositions multiplied by or like assigned like some specific amplitude, which is just like the square root of the probability, I suppose.
Okay. So the wave function is the combination of all possible superpositions assigned by its amplitude. And then the wave function is also a mathematical object that describes, which just means it's identical to the entire universe. So the wave function is the combination of all possible superpositions assigned by its amplitude. And the wave function is also a mathematical object that describes, which is just the same thing as saying is identical to the entire universe.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Right.
My Adderall is like worn off. Say it one more time.
So the wave function is the combination of all possible superpositions assigned by its amplitude. And the wave function is also a mathematical object that describes, which just means it's identical to the entire universe.
So the wave function of the universe versus the wave function of a particle, yes. So okay, wait. So the first description is true in general, but it's also specifically true of particles. The second usage of the wave function, that sense of the wave function, is identical to one applied to the universe as a whole.
Okay. Fine. The universe. Okay, so in the first premise, when you say the universe is identical to the wave function, are you using it in the specific sense?
What do you mean?
Are you using it in the sense where the wave function is a mathematical object that describes, which just means is identical to the entire universe? Is that what that means?
Well, yeah, I'm saying that it's identical, that it shares all the properties with the universe, yeah.
Okay, so the universe. Okay, wait, so the universe is identical. Okay. Right. Okay, and then the wave function is an abstract object. Okay. So, universe is an abstract. Okay. Well, so if the universe, and to be clear, right, whenever you say the universe, you're attempting to refer to what most people mean by the universe, right? Which is like the set of all matter and energy.
Yes, although there's like one stipulation, which is that I take the universe to be this world combined with like orthogonal. So okay, this world is a superposition, this like total environment that like spans across what for us from our perception in our superposition is like all of space and time. I think that this encompasses one superposition that's orthogonal to the others. So for example, let's say we took like a measurement of an electron, we found it was spin up. But that's just our superposition. There's another superposition that branches off where it was found to be spin down. So we now have like two orthogonal superpositions. So yeah, I take the universe to be like the totality of all the possible superpositions.
Okay, the universe is the totality of all possible superpositions. Let me write that down as well. And then superposition. So you can describe a superposition with the wave function of all like particles, and then once you do that with the set of like everything, then that's the universe. Is that right?
Yeah, as after you go through the process of like combining it into like some like 10 to the or 2 to the 10 to the like 124th dimensional fucking like horrible function, yeah, then you'd get like a wave function that describes all possible superpositions of all possible particles.
Okay, so and then I guess I just sort of assumed this, but abstract object, you just mean a non-spatial, non-temporal thing, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think space and time emerge from the wave function, so yeah.
Okay. Okay, so if that's right, then I guess what's the argument for? Well, I guess it would be important first. So the argument that you gave to me before was the universe is identical to the wave function, and I just want to make sure that I'm reading out premise one correctly. So premise one is the universe is the totality of all possible superpositions is identical to the wave function.
Yeah.
Okay, and then by the wave function, as you defined it, is the combination of all possible superpositions assigned by its amplitude, right?
Yeah.
Is identical to combination of all superpositions. Okay, and that's premise one. Okay, and then premise two would be, okay, so the combination of all possible superpositions assigned by its amplitude is an abstract object. Okay, Well, okay, so premise one, it sounds fine now. What's the defense of premise two?
That the wave function is an abstract object.
No, the
Yeah.
premise two. Well, yeah, I mean that was before, but the premise two is, just spelled out properly, is the combination of all possible superpositions assigned by its amplitude as an abstract object.
Oh yeah. That's just because the combination of all possible superpositions spelled out as an amplitude is going to be equivalent to Hilbert space, or like a vector in Hilbert space. Hilbert spaces are abstract objects, vectors are abstract objects. I take it if all the parts of an abstract object are themselves abstract objects, that the whole is also going to be an abstract object.
Right. Okay. So amplitude is a, sorry, you said a vector in Hilbert space.
Hmm.
Sure. Okay. And so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, a vector. So Hilbert space is just a three-dimensional plane, right?
Not three-dimensional. The Hilbert space is gonna, I mean, current estimate. So it depends how quantum gravity goes, but it's either gonna be like infinite dimensions or it's gonna be like an obscene number of dimensions, where it's like 10 to the, or 2 to the 10 to the 124th power, like, which is just like an unfathomable number of zeros. Because what it is, it's going to be, so we have three positions for all, like all the particles can be anywhere within like three positions. And then you take that and multiply it by like all the particles, and that's how many dimensions you need.
Okay.
You need three dimensions per particle times like insano particles gets you, I don't know, like an obscene number. And that, so the Hilbert space either has that dimension, or it has like infinite dimensions, depending on whether or not quantum gravity is quantized.
Right. Okay. So a vector in Hilbert space is an abstract object. Okay. So it sounds like premise one. Well, okay. So I would say that from my very ground level knowledge, that you're probably saying like the combination of all possible superpositions assigned by its amplitude is described by a vector in Hilbert space, but not that they're identical, unless
No, they
unless
are
you are.
identical. They have the exact same properties. There's not a single property that the wave function has that the universe doesn't. There's not a single property that the universe has that the wave function doesn't.
Okay. So
Although I don't know, like I'll be like, I'm still like thinking through my view. I do think like one thing that's hard to account for in the view is things like qualia. Although presumably I would just give like whatever explanation like a physicalist would give.
right. So okay, the combination of all possible superpositions is assigned by its amplitude. That's identical with the universe, and the way that you got to the universe is identical to the wave function. Was given like, you said, a particle being shot at a mirror, and then it has a 50% chance to spin up and a 50% chance to spin down.
Yeah, well, for the specific example, yeah. Well, I mean, all particles have a 50% chance of spin up, 50% chance of spin down.
Right. Well, okay. So just to be clear, do you take it that all particles are abstract?
Yeah, I take it that physical is an emergent thing from the abstract, yeah.
Okay. And then so abstract object is aspatial and atemporal. What do you mean by space?
Space is just going to be the set of variables whereby interactions are local.
Right.
It's like the way of
So
like so there's this thing called the Hamiltonian, which is in the so okay, wait. So we have the wave function. Wave function describes the superpositions. We have the Schrödinger equation. The Schrödinger equation tells you how the wave function evolves. one of the things in the Schrodinger equation is the Hamiltonian. The Hamiltonian tells you like what types of interactions there will be. For some types of Hamiltonians, you're able to slice reality in ways where things will be local, interactions will be local, because I don't know. Okay, maybe like think about it like this. When particles interact with each other, they become entangled. You can reconstruct things like space from the wave function by treating space as entanglement because the higher the degree of entanglement is going to correspond to like a level of closeness, like a distance.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this right. So particles are abstract objects in space, consist of interactions that are local. So, okay, you don't think particles take place in interactions that are local?
I do.
Right. Okay. So do you think that they're atemporal then, right?
Yeah. I think that all the moments are going to be equally real in like a timeline. That's also what general relativity indicates. The fact that we have relativity of simultaneity, that the fact that if you're traveling close to the speed of light in a rocket ship, I don't know, your now is going to be different from somebody else's now who isn't traveling at that speed. So what it means, like nowness is relative to the inertial reference frame. So I already have like pretty good reason for thinking that like presentism is false. So that would seem to indicate that it's like reasonable to think that what there is just like kind of like a timeline.
Okay. So you think particles are abstract, but so particles do take place in interactions that are local, and space is just interactions that are local. So you think particles are spatial, but you don't think that particles are temporal, right?
So they're like temporal in this. Okay, like let's say you're like making a video. Um, you have like your video timeline or whatever. So they're temporal in the sense, in the same way that like things in like the timeline are temporal. Your like video timeline. Um, so in a very real sense, time is just what the clock does. If you had like a wave function and you were evolving it with the Schrodinger equation, basically, I don't know, like imagine like setting like a clock up and the clock just tells you the time. And then you just go and evolve everything. You just let everything evolve. That's like, I think that's what time is. Time is just what the clock is going to read.
Okay. So what does it mean for something to be temporal? Like something that's readable
Just
by
that
a clock?
it depends. So
That
it's
would
going
be
to
right,
depend
but
on the thing. But let's take an easy example. Let's take like an electron. So an electron is going to be like a vibration at a very specific energy level in a quantum field, or specifically an electron field. That's what an electron is. It's just like a vibration in an electron field, both of which are mathematical objects, by the way. So it's temporal in the sense that the Schrodinger equation dictates that at different times it's going to be at different locations. So it's temporal in the sense that at time t, it's here. At time like t plus one, it's here. So in that sense, it's temporal.
okay. Sorry, what did you mean by an abstract object then?
The definition you gave is fine, just an aspatial atemporal. So the wave function itself is aspatial atemporal. I think but I think like time and space, I think these things are both emergent from the wave function. They're things that get reconstructed and fall out of the wave function itself.
Okay. Um, so uh, particles are spatial and temporal under the view, but they're abstract?
Um I see the tension that you're going for there. I don't know how I would define abstract object. I'm not sure. I don't have a firm stance on like the ontology of numbers, but only that numbers are going to be prior to numbers, whatever their ontology be, is going to be prior to space and time. Like they're like things like space and time are going to be grounded in the wave function, but I'm not sure. I'd probably have to be quiet on the specific ontology of numbers.
Right. Okay. So the universe is the set of all matter and energy, and I believe matter is just particles or things that are composed of particles, right? But those are not abstract. Those are not aspatial or atemporal.
They're. I'm inclined to think that they. Maybe this view entails like a nominalism about what it means to be temporal.
So okay, well, so whenever I said that God made the universe, you said that the universe was abstract, and so it'd be strange to hold that God would make an abstract thing, right? Well, okay,
Well, it's just that it's not that it would be strange; it's that he can't, because that would require like a coming into existence of something that does not exist within time.
coming into existence.
Oh, okay, wait, sure. Here's how you resolve the tension. Okay, so the way that you would resolve like the temporal tension is that you would say that the wave function taken as a whole, it time is within the wave function. The wave function is not within time. There are certain things that are within the wave function that are also within time, but the wave function itself is not within time as like a whole. The wave function is it's like it would be like a container that's it would be like a container for things like time and space, and then time and space would be a container within the like larger container is probably the way that I'd put it.
Okay, so the wave function contains time, and particles exist in time. Does it? I'm assuming it also contains space, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like these things like emerge from it, yeah.
So the idea is that the wave function contains space and time, and matter and particles and whatnot.
Yeah, that these things are all going to be mathematical objects that are like represented or derivable from it, yeah.
Okay, and so you believe that mathematical objects are spatial and temporal?
Yeah, some of them, yeah.
Okay.
So for example, like the vibration in like like a vibration on an electron field would be.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit unclear, I guess. The idea before is that the universe is a set of all matter and energy, and that's identical to the wave function. And presumably, you still think that the wave function is an abstract thing, right?
So, okay, wait, that's not my definition of the universe. The universe is just the collection of all of the
Hello?
orthogonal superpositions.
Hey, what's up?
Are you guys still talking about this?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my, mashallah.
Okay, so sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah, he wouldn't fucking respond to the argument earlier, so we had to go down this route instead.
You talking to me?
I was talking to like Emily.
Well, Ian was talking to me, and he was merely just reporting what he thinks the facts of the matter were in regards to the earlier situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
as you know, the standard debate judge, we can kind of have Goons crown the winner here if you want.
Yeah, Agent got blown the fuck out.
W guns.
Gee.
Yeah, it was a pretty good debate. Pretty good debate.
sorry.
That's why Goons is the goat.
Exactly. We need D1 in the server. That's what we need to redeem it.
I've been super sad. I like annoyed D1 so much to the point to where he like blocked me and like, muted me and all this other shit. So like I just have like no way of interacting with him, and it's been like that for like 4 or 5 months now.
Damn.
You just use a different account.
He blocked my other account too.
Wait, does anyone
Make a new one specifically to talk.
I could do that. Specifically to
Mm.
talk to D1.
does anyone
Who
have any
won
like
this?
opinions on like meta-ethical constructivism?
You probably need to talk to Fleur about it, because I hear she endorses something similar to her project.
Yeah, I've talked to her before, but it was I talked to her like pre-course guard. I was like before I read course guard.